Hello, welcome to our Heritage Works. Today, we're going to revisit our oatmeal cream cookies, our Little Debbie copycat cookies. They are gluten-free and delicious. I'd like to thank everyone that gave us information and helpful tips after the first try for making these cookies that didn't turn out so great. In particular, I'd like to thank Chili G for coming up with a wonderful filling that I think is pretty close to the original. It's an ermine frosting, and this is the start of it by measuring out our sugar and our flour. We also will need whole milk. I didn't happen to have any whole milk, so I mixed half and half and regular milk, 2%, just to get me closer to that whole milk product. Ermine frosting is a frosting that is cooked, and we're going to start by mixing our flour and our sugar together, and then we're going to put this in a saucepan and heat it up. This is to get the flour part to slightly cook a little bit to take away that raw taste that you get with flour. This took several minutes to get the flour to heat up and to get rid of that raw taste. So I was careful to make sure that I kept stirring this throughout the heating process. I wanted to make sure that it didn't burn. I did notice that some of the sugar granules were trying to stick to the bottom, and so I really wanted to keep this going so that it just did not seize up on me or anything else. Once the flour was slightly cooked, I added the milk very slowly, stirring it in as I went, and I slightly lowered the temperature just a little bit. Now, the flour smelled really, really good. It had that nice nutty flavor set to it when I started to pour the milk in. Again, I'm noticing that sugar sticking to the bottom, and so I'm just trying to make sure I have everything mixed together really well. This is going to form something similar to a pudding in consistency, and that's what we're looking for. So we're going to bring it up to a boil. From the boil, we're going to turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer for an additional minute, and then we're going to remove it from the stove. We're going to pour it into a nice bowl, and then we're going to put plastic wrap over top of it so that no skin forms on it like a pudding might. And you're doing the same type of thing that you would do for pudding, putting that plastic wrap on there. It's just to protect it to keep it from getting a skin that is undesirable. Then we're going to put this in the refrigerator and let it cool. It needs to be 100% cooled before we go on to the next step. This is going to take several hours. While that cools, let's make our cookie. The next step requires some oat flour. So we're going to make our own. We're using just some rolled oats, gluten-free of course, and we're going to just pulse it in our food processor until we have a nice consistency. These cookies have many ingredients. They are 3/4 cup of softened butter, 2 cups of raisins, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of honey, 2 tablespoons of molasses, 2 eggs, 1 1/4 cup of oat flour, 1/2 cup of arrowroot starch, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2.5 cups of oats, and 1 1/4 cups of gluten-free flour, which is divided into 1 cup and 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup of it goes in with the raisins to make our paste. Utilizing the same food processor, I'm going to form a paste with the raisins. Now, I don't mind that there's a little bit of oat flour in the bottom. It's just going to help make a sticky paste anyway, so that little bit isn't going to hurt anything. Now, as I was making this paste, I found that it was not coming together into a ball, into a paste like I was expecting. So I added just a touch of warm water to help break down the skins a little bit. We're going to mix our dry ingredients together, whisk them together really well, and then we're going to put together our moist ingredients and then put them together to form our cookie dough. To bake the cookie dough, I'm going to use a couple of spoons and basically make canals out of the dough, so that way they're fairly uniform in size, so that when they bake, they'll be all right. Once the cookies have baked, be sure to let them sit on the cookie sheet for 3 to 5 minutes before you try to move them. Then you can put them on a cooling rack and let them cool. Repeat this for all of the cookie dough that you have. Now that the cookies are baked, they can cool while we finish the frosting for the middle. We're going to need the portion that we started earlier that's been in the refrigerator cooling. And we will also need some unsalted butter that is at room temperature. It must be soft. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're going to combine these in the mixer, starting with the butter until it's light and fluffy. Then we're going to add in our portion that's been chilling. And then finally, once it's all combined, we'll add the vanilla and the salt. With the filling complete, we're going to put it in a bag and pipe it onto our cookies to make our sandwiches.